Here we go. Holy cow. Just still going 700 miles per hour in my mind.
Probably faster.
I was able to watch a cool show. It's called The Gentleman on Netflix.
I have not seen that.
Dude, I've been in a show hole for like ever since what's that show? The Ozarks, when that one ended.
That was Ozarks?
I've not had a show that I've found that I've enjoyed yet. And I'll binge stuff. I'll just binge and that's what I do. But I found the show The Gentleman, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is the show I can get into. This is good. I like it. I'm interested. So
we
I
just
got
ended
to watch
our last
2
season.
episodes
I might have to check that out.
on the plane ride. The kids were good enough that I could actually consume something.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was nice. Anyway, we're not here to talk about that, are we? So Bear Archery is gonna be our guest. We just had him on 2 weeks ago, and so we had Ryan. Oh gosh, so I didn't pronounce his last name right the first time. Now see if my memory serves me. It's Ryan Shoots. Shit.
Oh,
I'm gonna get it wrong. This is embarrassing. This is how bad I am with my memory. This is why you guys know I suck in the deer woods, because I can't get. I just talked to Ryan 2 weeks ago, and I've already forgotten how to pronounce it. And if I had any time to prepare, I would have listened and got it right. But anyway.
That's not our style.
No, and I second guess everything. So you're often my like co-pilot in my second guessing. Because what happened 2 weeks ago, or was it a week ago before I left? I got in a hunt.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I think I should press in or whatever, get into that understory a little bit. And you're like, yeah, you should do that. And then just 2 steps out of my spot. So
set off the orchestra.
Yeah. So just constantly second guessing stuff. Haven't you been out since last? Like, what have you been doing?
I've been out a couple of times. I took my son Gus this past weekend up at the cabin, and me, Grandpa, and Gus got to go out. So we did a little 3 generations hunt. That was really cool. Gus was a trooper. We walked, and we had a pretty far walk, and then it got to the point where he was pretty pooped. We had a busy day. We did a lot of stuff in the morning, and like walked across this clear cut, and we get into the woods, and I was like, buddy, this is like where we're gonna be going. He's like, okay, pick a tree, and I was like, well, we gotta find like a good tree, And he's like, no, just let's just go. I want to sit down. And I was like, well, buddy, think of how far we walked. Don't we want to like pick the right spot?
Sounds like he's more my style.
And he's like, yeah, I just think we should try to pick a tree real quick. And I was like, all right. So we walked like 40 yards further, set up. We didn't see anything, but we had a lot of fun. We ate a lot of snacks.
That's great.
It was good. This weekend, heading down to Illinois. Really, really pumped. Got some good.
It's looking good.
It's looking good. The weather's looking shit.
Yeah,
it's hot. But the intel is looking very good.
Okay. Very good. Well, my intel is not as promising as it should be. I think my batteries died on one of my cell cams, which is confusing because the other one's at 100% still. So I don't.
We hung them on the same day.
Understand. So I went out to swap the SD card and it wouldn't turn on. So I brought it back home, plugged it in, wouldn't turn on. I have not had. It was the night before we were leaving. So I just was like, well, I'll have to deal with it when I get home. So I still don't have any idea as to what it captured or when it captured stuff or when it stopped for. I've known nothing to this point, and I'm really upset because that was the area that it was getting the best intel, and that was the camera that quit. So the other one that's still on, I'm like, whatever. Yeah, anyway, we'll see from there. Now it's like hunt the hunt, not the camera kind of thing. Yeah. So it's probably a blessing in disguise.
See, I'm all excited because of my camera. Because obviously I haven't been down in Illinois, so I've got a couple cell cams there. And the one that I hung in, like, the reason I wanted a cell cam is I hung this one in a really thick bedding area. It's like one little trail, but it had some old rubs along it. And I was just like, this is as good as place as any because it's just thick in there.
Yeah.
And that camera has got what I think is my second largest buck I've ever gotten trail camera.
Okay.
Has been on there in the middle of the day, like 3 different days in the last week and a half.
Do you know how to set up on that?
I mean, I don't know anything, but I know what I'm going to try to do. I've got ideas. My brain has been going there 1,000 times a day. So Saturday morning, I'm going to be in there.
Good stuff.
We'll see.
I forgot to.
Yeah, we didn't even do the music yet.
This is the Okayest Hunter Podcast. Never pass on shooter bucks, because that's just meat in the freezer. It's your tag. You hunt how you want. This is Okayest Hunter.
All right, so we're back after, last week's episode was just me babbling for like 30 minutes.
Explaining your hunting situations thus far.
Crazy. I did it the Saturday before we left. I was up till like midnight or 1 a.m, working on everything to get ready for the week that I was going to be off. And so, sorry, that was probably a really stupid episode. And now Derek's here at least to bail me out. We have a guest, Ryan Shoots. We'll figure out. Ryan will correct me in a minute when I bring him on. Product manager over at Bear. They are, if you haven't been watching and following along, they just did a big drop of a whole bunch of new bows. So we want to have an opportunity to talk through that. So our timing is a little off on having them on 2 weeks ago, but maybe not either because the other episode was pretty agnostic to just archery stuff.
And consider that the preface for
Exactly.
the big drop that just happened, which is like a day or two ago. Ryan will let us know, but I mean, it was pretty recent. So if anybody saw something, had their eye on it, wanted to know more, well, here you go.
Yeah, and I've been very checked out, so I'm coming in hot.
Eric's coming in like he called me at 5:15 and was like, "We just got home. What time are you going to be here?" to get podcast going in 45 minutes. And here we are. You're a trooper, man. You're a trooper.
Wild. Yeah, it is what it is. I think I have the wrong like thing on the screen that I want to have. I think it needs to be this one. That's what I wanted. There we go. It's positioned to look a little bit better. It'll take a second, but all right, Ryan, let's get you in here. Sorry for our little BS session, but welcome back to the Okayest Hunter podcast. The fact that you're back, I don't know what that tells us, and I obviously am a terrible host because I didn't learn from my first iteration of getting your last name incorrect. So if you just correct me, that'd be great.
You've shots. So each time you kind of stumbled over it, your first one was right. So that's good.
It's that damn second guess.
It's the subconscious got it. It's the conscious that doesn't have it at all.
Welcome back, Ryan. Good to have you again.
No, thanks for having me back. I always like to talk archery, so I appreciate the invite.
That's good. What time is it where you're at right now? Are we keeping you in the office longer? Where are you? Because the backdrop is really kind of cool, even though we commented on how ours was last time. I'm curious about where you're actually at.
So I'm actually in Nebraska right now. So this is I don't have a very bad office, so to say. So that's what I work on all day, every day. I usually when I come on these podcasts, I got to make sure I don't have anything top secret back there. That's what I'm right now.
All right, good to go.
Yeah, I keep those on a different rack, so that just gives you an idea of how much is around. But we're always trying to innovate, so when it's always at your fingertips, you always get a chance to think or do something different. You have an idea, and you're like, "God, would that work?" And then lots of them don't, but at least you have a chance to play with them and figure it out. But yeah, it's just nope. The weather's pretty good here, so that's just my little backdrop wall of all the bows back there. Might as well make it look nice.
It's pretty cool.
I think you've maybe hung up a few more since the drop, because I think last time there maybe was a few more holes in that lineup. So it's good that we can now talk about some of the new bows that you guys just dropped.
You're 100% right. There was a couple I pulled down on that first podcast.
You're on it, Ryan. We know you're on it.
You're right back, guys. I gotta take some stuff off the shelf. Well, why don't you kind of set us up here a little bit and talk about why the drop, why now, why so many, and then we can get into some of the specifics of what each one is, who maybe they're ideal for in the deer woods and so forth. Kind of walk us through the thought process behind why you guys have what you've come to market with.
Yeah, happy to. So really each bow we're trying to fit either, sometimes they're price points, so we're very kind of value based, kind of driven on how we come to market with many things. So I think I said it last podcast, but Fred was huge on archery for everybody. So that is one core value that has never changed through time, through the 90 years with Bear. So it's something we talk about on every bow. And it might be just a feature or two, or it could be the whole entire bow. So we're really trying to make sure that we're giving lots of value and that our line is big and deep enough that we really offer something for everybody. So there's we feel like we can get just about any hunting ability, any kind of maybe even price point bow, give you a really good product and give you a really good experience too. So we're not thinking any cutting corners or anything like that. We want you to have a positive hunting experience. So that'd be why this year was a little bit more than normal. So in total this fall, we've launched 10 models. So a couple of the models we've already launched. So I think last time I spent quite a bit of time. We launched the Adapt 2 and the Adapt 2 Plus. So those are kind of two different models, and then the Gamekeeper and then the Gamekeeper Junior. So we really launched 4 models in August, which is more than we normally do in August. So some different price points and some really unique bows there. And then and then as the rest of the line goes, I'm about to go over roughly 6 more bows. Some of them we'll spend more time on, and some of them we won't. So, I can start at the top.
Yeah, so I think starting at the top is, I mean, we could say start at the bottom, but it doesn't based on the mission ethos and what Fred Bear stood for. Like, I think all these bows would be fine for anybody at any point, but obviously there's different like thoughts and purposes for each. So, I think starting at the top is a great way to go. And I was on the, at the airport trying to go through as much as I could in between my kids begging me for my phone, and me like going, okay, I guess I should probably give in because they're, they don't know what to do with themselves. They can't sit still. So I didn't get as much research done as I would have hoped for this episode, given the vacation. But I was looking at the new Persist 33, and I don't know if that's the top or if there's other ones that are.
That's where I was going to start. You bet it is.
Okay.
Nailed it.
Good. So I'm not all
good
the
work,
way.
Chief.
I'm not totally lost.
So what we did there is, we currently have the Persist in the line, and the Persist is a 31-inch axle-to-axle bow. So lately, there's been a pretty big trend as people wanting to get longer axle-to-axle, and so it's kind of crazy. Archery is just one of those things that have been around long enough, just like many things in the world, where it all goes full circle. So if you wait long enough, all of a sudden everybody for the longest time is trying to make bows shorter and shorter and shorter, and now all of a sudden we've passed that kind of apex, and now we're back into making them longer. So, which is fine. I mean, there is definitely some stability that you can gain on a longer bow. So the Persist 33 is built off the Persist platform, and really what we did was make the Persist that was 31 inches 33 inches. We changed the geometry in the limbs a little bit to be able to do that too. So what you'll find in that particular bow is, so the specs are really good, but really it's the performance when you're shooting it that a lot of people are going to notice. Is the way that we did that. Very smooth draw without a doubt. So the cams are definitely doing a great job. But on top of that, then that you can tell the stability you gain with the 33 inches, and then the way that we laid those limbs down just really complements the whole bow. The big thing that we did last year on the Persist, it stays true on the 33, even maybe more so, is vibration was one of the key things we thought about the whole entire time on this bow. So it has new in-limb dampeners, in-riser dampeners. We put a little rubber shelf on top of our normal shelf, so if the arrow would fall off or anything like that, any really touch points, tried to make sure that vibration was something we thought about there, as well as it's got a string dampener that was new last year. So just really kind of gives you the whole thing, right? So balance, no to low vibration, and of course it has the complete integrated system with the Picatinny sail or rail mount out front, plus an integrated rest system. It's 340 feet per second, and then one big thing that we push, especially on the top end, is we like the bows to be as adjustable as possible. I want them to feel like you're like your favorite pair of shoes. Like it's just you slide right into the bow. Everything about it is customized to you, not what we're forcing you to be. So draw length adjustment is from 26.5 to 30.5. And your let off is adjustable on this bow, which is one of my favorite features on this EKO cam. So you can set it at 75, 80, 85, or 90. So wherever you prefer. I'm a 90% guy, so I like the most let off I can get, and other guys feel much more comfortable or 80, 85. So this way you pick it because it's different for each person.
Now, Ryan, last time you were on and you were explaining a little bit about your adjustability within basically your whole line of bows, but in this Persist, does this also are those adjustments, your let off and your draw length, are those 2 adjustments that you can make without a bow press like you were mentioning last time, or does this require a bow press?
Yep, no bow press on that one, on those adjustments. It's right there's a floated mod on the cam, and you adjust the mod, and then there's actually a cable stop post, and we give you instructions on how to do that inside the manual, and you're able to adjust that. So like it's literally if you were like if you wanted to try it at 75% let off and then do a different hunt at 85% let off, you could do that.
So for guys like me that, I mean, that's saying no bow press is really pretty damn cool. Like having a bow press, I I would say the majority of people don't have one, or maybe they don't have a good one, or whatever. They're not cheap, but they're also like they're doable. You can probably go get one for like $1,000 or something. Uh, but then I go, okay, well, I don't really know what I'm doing. Do you guys does Bear have a lot of good like tutorials, how to customer support, so forth, that if I start getting in there, that'll have the confidence of good support behind me to navigate that really well?
We think so. So we do have, the normal things nowadays. Like, yes, there's how-to videos on our .com and YouTube, and we have some great pro staff and partners that like to do some of that as well for us. And then I'd also say, like, especially, so the Persist 33 is a pro shop only bow. So this bow is only available through your pro shop. So you can't buy this bow online. And we have a great network there where, I mean, they want to help and set it up every way they can, and they can walk you through how to adjust and change things too. And then we also, we run customer service the old fashioned way where you can call us, or of course, you also the new age way where you can get online and chat with us or ask us questions there. And we definitely have experts there to help go through that type of stuff pretty easily. And because each bow scenario could be a little bit different.
Yeah, and on that note, my son Gus we just set up a Bear legit for him, and he's just a little guy. He's almost 8 years old.
Is it the pink one?
No, he's got the camo one from Joe.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
Joe Van Beek, gifted the bow to Gus. Okay. So we set that up the other day, right after the podcast with Ryan. We went and set it up, and I had to adjust the draw length from it was it came factory, so it was at like 70 pounds, and it was probably 29 or 30 inches. Yeah, it was whatever it was set up, and I mean, it took a minute to drop it down to 23 inches draw length, to get it right for him. It was 2 little set screws with Allen key. Take them out. There's a circle on the mod, and then there's numbers, and you just put the circle around the number you want, and the set, there's multiple holes for those set screws to go in. It was the easiest thing I've ever adjusted. So it was beautiful. It was a very...
And the cam timing, everything's all easy. It's all good. Uh-oh. Sorry about that. I don't know. I have not. There's something I forgot. There we go. My phone is disturbed.
Everything you hit, though, is exactly what we try to do on that particular bow. I mean, so it's got like the dial in feature where you can see like 23, 24, and you can just dial the top and bottom cam. I mean, it makes me happy to hear that you guys did it exactly the way we were hoping, because I can tell you I've met many people out in the field. Like, I like to go to new archers where they feel comfortable shooting and just do that and be like, well, they're shooting, and their parent might be like, oh, what do you think? And they're pulling a bow that's 2 inches too long, and be like, give me a second. And they're like, did you just change that right here? I'm like, yep. And at least then you can adjust it. I don't know, feels like you can just get it more perfect in those infield situations like that when you can adjust the cam on the fly.
I was really trying to test it because you had talked about it, and I was like, well, let's see how easy it is. And I was like, well, shit, that was a lot easier than I thought. I was like, you made it sound easy, but it's even easier.
Well, that makes me feel great to hear. Like that's something that's important to someone like me who is a resident idiot of all things.
Eric, you would be absolutely fine to change the draw length on it by
but
yourself.
Just knowing that I have confidence in that support behind me, like.
Also, with your guys' kiddos, you will have to change it a couple times. I mean, as they grow. I mean, sometimes it's crazy how quick they can grow, and you could adjust that an inch or so within 6 months to a year sometimes.
How do you shoot with it? Did it work out for him?
He actually hasn't not flung an arrow through it yet. I still want to get him some arrows that are decent. Right now we have because he's just shooting one of the small 2-wheel bows that no power at all. Mm-hmm. So I have the Mod Podge arrows. They're a bunch of my old ones, my dad's old ones, some youth ones. Mm-hmm. So with this one, I just kind of wanted to it to be like a little bit of a learning moment. Like you got to be careful what kind of arrows you're putting in. This bow is way more powerful. It's got these cams, and we got to be careful what we're shooting. We don't want that arrow to explode. Not that it's going to explode the arrow because it's very, very light. But I just was kind of a waiting moment,
teaching moment,
teaching moment a little bit. So he hasn't shot it. He's he's playing with it all the time. Don't dry fire. Don't let it go. Don't let go. So he's happy. He's very happy. He loves it.
Good.
Yeah.
That's good. Cool. Well, so there's that one, and the price points I'm assuming favorable. How does it compare to the version 1 of the non 33 of the Persist?
So they're the same. So our MSRP on those two bows is $1249.99. So that's definitely our flagship top of the line compound bow that we offer. And then that kind of segues nicely into the next bow, which is a brand new bow in the line, which is the Whitetail INT. Which replaces a bow that we had in the line called the Whitetail Max. And they are really basically the same bows, except so EKO cam, 339 feet per second, or IBO feet per second, and then same brace height, 6 1/4, 31-inch axle to axle. Still a lot of adjustment, 26 to 30 inches, and then you can get the limbs in 45 to 60 or 55 to 70. And then this also has the EKO cam, so you can adjust your let offs 75, 80, 85, and 90. The thing that we changed on this bow is the riser is now fully integrated. So what the integrates really we've seen the market change to is now, of course, that allows you with the Picatinny rails, so you can adjust your sight and get more adjustment on it right on in front of the riser. And then, of course, the same on the rest where it bolts right to the back of the riser. And what we're so excited here really is giving that type, putting that type of, integrate capability on a bow with that cam system plus at the price point. So if you did that in our RTH price point where you're getting the integrated rest and integrated sight is $729.99. You can also get that as a bow only for $629.
Wow.
But what we're pushing there is integrate before wasn't available on any bows really under $1,200. So now as we continue through this talk tonight, you're going to see that become a lot more approachable for just about every budget.
Yeah, because that's exactly what I was thinking when you said the price point. I was just running through, it's not a super long list of bows that have that integrated technology built into the riser now, but most of them are double in price of what you just listed that one at. So that's an awesome draw to your, get everybody into archery crowd, because now they've got this great technology at a super affordable price compared to all the other bow makers in the market who are offering that.
Yep, that's exactly, and that was the goal and the plan with that. Kind of before we had talked to like, who are we trying to make this for? Like, this particular bow is we're giving a ton of technology on this particular bow for the price that we're charging on that, and it allows you to. I mean, of course, you can get this as bow only, and there's tons of sites out there now that pick that or that fit that Picatinny rail system, and tons of rests. So you can buy that bow only, and you can accessory it up as high end as you want.
Yep, there you go. Eric's got a picture up on the screen here, so we're taking a look at it. Whitetail.
Yeah, when you talk about the riser, some of the stuff I'm gonna play dummy here because I want to make sure people understand. What is that when you say integrated riser? What do you mean?
So if you zoom in on where that sight is mounted to the riser.
Yep.
So instead of being mounted to the side of the riser, which would be the traditional way, it's mounted right in front of the riser. Normally, like on a right-handed bow, it would be on the right side of the riser. If you grab a different angle on our website, like maybe
see that?
Side angles would show the sight maybe the best.
Oh, wrong one. Here we go. Side angle.
Yep. That one you could zoom in and see it. That bracket right in the front of the bow. There you go.
So that's the Picatinny rail? Is that how you say that?
Yeah, yep, go to the next image.
Yeah, so the Picatinny rail right there, and then our bracket's mounted right on top of that.
So instead of 2 bolts, holding your, the sight to the side of the bow, the bow is mounted. The Picatinny rail is like a clamp system, right?
Yep.
It's clamped directly to the riser of the bow. It's not the bolts that are necessarily holding it. It's mounted directly to the riser.
Oh, I see. Okay. Thanks for, that's the kind of stuff that, and that matters for just like weight distribution and balancing and like line of sight, or
balance for sure.
Yeah, kind of all of those is what I would say. Balance definitely changes the balance of it because now you don't have as much on the side of the bow. Also, of course, it depends on the sight too, on your different axis adjustments, stuff like that, because now it's putting it right out in front of you. So now you're going to even get more adjustment there. And then the rest kind of works the same way where it's mounted straight onto the riser just like that. So, and those features have been around for a while, but we just started, we used to only offer them on our flagship bows, so like our $1,200 bow, and now you're going to start to see that come through the line.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
And it's just kind of like where I said, archery always kind of goes full circle. At first, for a while, you only saw kind of the highest end accessories be able to fit those type of bows, and now there's a long list of accessories that will fit different styles of integrate out there, including Trophy Ridge. Trophy Ridge has a good assortment in there of that.
That's fantastic.
And Trophy Ridge is, remind me, is that like a branch of your company?
Yeah, it is. So Escalade Sports owns Bear and Trophy Ridge. So Trophy Ridge is a huge accessory brand. So that's why you see us partner up all the time on like we call it Ready to Hunt. The RTH is kind of the acronym I always use for that. So the Ready to Hunt are always chocked full of Trophy Ridge. Great accessories, and they definitely work great on our bows.
Cool. Ray Lufter just commented, said just pick up a new Bear bow for the first time and absolutely love it. That's pretty great. And there was a comment from earlier. I like to call it comments so people feel acknowledged.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Tony Mouse said opening day in Arkansas. It's past weekend. Of course, he ran into someone else squirrel hunting with dogs. Good old public land. You'll have that. Yeah. No, that's cool. And thanks for like breaking it down Barney style and holding my hand through some of the stuff too. I assume that there's others that there's a full spectrum. Some people are like, duh, Eric, didn't you know? And there's other people like, oh, thank God he asked that question. I had no idea, so we have quite the range of listeners, and I just want to do a good job of making sure we explain things that if I don't understand it, I assume someone else might not either.
And I think on that note, there was something I wanted to mention before that this might be a great little side note before we jump back in and Ryan explains another bow or two here. But as far as like, I just think that the Bear and what Bear Archery stands for and that barrier of entry, sorry not to overbear on that bear word there,
but, bear down,
but the barrier to entry, right, for archery is, to me, it's a challenging one. For people who have not done it before, the archery pro shop is an intimidating place because you might feel like you know nothing and you don't want to be looked down upon. And people, there are people at pro shops, especially higher up or like, the more elite dealerships that like maybe look down on you if you ask some of these questions. And I think that's a really hard thing to do. And I think that can be one of the reasons that people sway toward crossbows. And not that I have anything against crossbows at all. Where legal, use them. But I think some people think that there's like this big discrepancy in like getting into it and like what's going to be easier. And I don't have to ask questions as much about the crossbow because it's just a crossbow. You just point it and shoot. Whereas like if you are going to a dealer that carries Bear bows, I feel like that's a dealer that is willing to like explain it all to you. Be like, they know what their crowd is. They know what their customer is going to do. And it's not that big a jump to go from crossbow, if you're thinking about it, to pick up a compound bow. Learn about it. It might be for you. And you may miss that opportunity if you're, a little bit worried or a little bit like, I don't want to be like looked down upon, because I totally get that. I've been shooting archery since I was 8 years old, and I have walked into pro shops and I have felt like that even 20 years after I started, where they just kind of look at like, oh man, look at like what a stupid question. Like it's never a good thing. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to like point out that fact that like, man, if you got a dealership near you that carries Bear bows, I would say that's a great one to start with, not just because of the Bear, but they know what their clientele is going to be and they're there to serve the people and get people into archery.
Yeah.
That's all I want to say.
No, I lean into that. Clearly, we have a whole brand built around it. So I think it gives people a little bit of grace and like breathing room to have that voice of like, I don't know. I mean, but I don't mean to be so brash and not have any responsibility associated with it either. But let the experts do the things that they're expert at, and then I will trust the process and learn what I need to learn with the time that I have. And like I would never talk down someone who doesn't know how to podcast. Like I'll just, what do you need to know? I'm not
Yeah.
going to make you feel stupid about it. If you don't do it every day, you don't know, or whatever, all that kind of stuff that exists in this studio. Um, but we go to Whale Tails, or that's where I go at least. It's close, but it's reputable, and they know if they put our show on the TV for us in there.
That's super cool.
Kids go in there. I walk in, hey Eric, kind of thing, and I'm like, hey, I don't know anything, guys. Like, just do what you need to do, and they're always like, yeah, we got you, no problem. Like it's not a big deal. And you've seen their shop on our YouTube channel, perhaps when we were getting the Bear bows tuned up. Me and Greg went to Whale Tails and got it all set up and configured and lobbed a bunch of arrows. I was just in there not too long ago, just shooting a little bit more, getting some more upgrades. It's nice when you have a shop of people that aren't going to make you feel that way, but rest assured, if you just make them, if they have an ego and they're going to be condescending, just feed their ego a couple treats and they'll feel better, and then it's no big deal. Like they won't make you feel stupid if you make them feel like they're really smart. So it's my 2 cents on that. But no, that's good. So that one's only available, or sorry, the 33 is available at pro shops or dealers only.
Yep. So the first few bows I'm going over are just pro shops. So we call them our Legend series. So the Persist 33 and Persist, and then the Whitetail INT, and then the next bow I'll go over, which is the Legend 30, is also a pro shop only bow. And I agree with everything you guys said. A great pro shop is worth so much. Because to me, the best bow for you is the bow that you like the most. Like you should be shooting multiple bows. I, of course, think that it should be the Bear brand, right? But
Yeah,
but we're all different, and I wouldn't say, especially at certain price points, there's a lot of good bows out there, and it's kind of like pairs of shoes. Feel matters, comfortability matters in these type of bows. So, because confidence is a huge part of archery. Us guys that have shot for a long time, you could be like, oh no, it's just 100% athletic skill. No, there's a lot of it. A lot of it happens in between your ears. Whole lot of it.
yeah.
So, knowing the equipment and how to adjust and get the most out of it, that's what those experts do and know. So, they can help with that. So, especially on these, like what I'm going over, is there's so much adjustment, right? And the reason for that is to get it all adjusted right for you so it fits and feels the best. So, the Legend 30 in our Legend Series line is our most adjustable bow. So, this is definitely kind of for that guy that's maybe not sure exactly what his draw length and stuff is yet, but he wants some of the maybe step up to getting close to the best of the best stuff. So this is 320 feet per second, 6.5 inch brace size, so it's extremely forgiving on the brace side. Axle to axle is 30 inches, so getting a little bit shorter. Um, and then so for more maneuverability, but draw length is adjustable from 18 to 31. So it's huge. Like this would definitely start to get down into different youth categories of that would be able to get shorter draw lengths, and then the draw weight's adjustable from 14 to 70. So the bow really is going to fit everybody, and it's an 8 straight 85% let off, which is a great let off. It's probably one of the more comfortable let offs, but huge adjustment on this bow, which is really nice. But then you're still getting the really high end effects on the riser. So you've got in limb dampeners and riser dampeners. Plus, we've got the integrated technology on this bow as well.
So I have a few questions. First,
Go ahead.
I won't ask them all at once like I normally do, but how does this compare to in the wall here is the Legend XR, which I enjoy and like, and I have that as kind of like this backup because it's still fully outfitted. So I got a bunch of new stuff for the other bow that I have. Just I wanted to kind of get into it that way to have two, because we've had some bows get drop tuned around here. So how does it differ from the previous or like the predecessor model?
So it's very similar to the XR. The risers are different, and but the cam system would be the same. So where this bow has changed some is 30-inch axle to axle is different, and then also this bow is fully integrated. So it's got the Picatinny rail out front, plus the rest or the IMS rest and system in the back. So the XR does not have those features. So it's really the riser that has changed.
Okay. No, thanks for clarifying. And so the other questions I had were, this is kind of zooming out into all archery brands, but are there other archery brands that do this level of adjustability like you guys, or are you it?
Not many.
Like,
Not many, and it all depends on the price points on what they do, and especially, we try to, I mean, 14 to 70 pounds and 18 to 31 is a
Crazy.
lot, and then it just depends on which kind of boat. Like we do a lot of floating mod systems. There's some other companies that do that, and then there's others. The reason that we kind of have called out so much not needing a bow press on many of our bows to adjust them is that there's some others that yes you can change the draw and some stuff like that, but you have to have a bow press there's some that you can't even change within a half an inch without a bow press.
and so and this is a little bit of devil's advocate. So this is not,
I think I have an answer for your devil's advocate question.
Well, I just wonder then when you have such a wide range of adjustability, then, it's like the master of all, jack of none kind of thing. Would that bow, like if you compare, I don't know anything about Hoyt because I don't shoot Hoyt, I never have. Or I know maybe you probably know quite a bit about Matthews, Derek, because you've been shooting them for a long time and still do. Where maybe would they argue against like, well, we're specialized, it's only built for this versus the one that's got this much range? Maybe what are we giving up and gaining here in that, or is there not that much that we're giving up and gaining? I just don't know, so I want to ask the question.
Good question.
Yeah, it's a good question. I almost feel like it answers itself. I think there's kind of two different target audiences there. Yeah, when you're more precise in the cam development and like let's just say you're making it just for a 29-inch, yes, you can be more precise in how things are timed out and everything like that. But then the negative of that is then you've got one bow, one model, one SKU that you definitely. Okay, you start this, you bought a 29-inch, it's 29 inches. If you're going to get it changed, again, every company's different. So no, I'm not a big guy calling anybody out type person. So lots of that, yeah, there's a mod charge to change that. Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. It's just dependent on which brand you go to. Versus our brand is, let's just say you get into it, like we always say, that's why we hear so many people start with us, right? Is their buddy or they're like convinced that they're a 29-inch draw length, they start shooting, and then this is just a make-believe scenario. You go to a pro shop, you get some experts shooting with you, and they're like, no, let's get this to 28 and see how it feels. And next thing you know, you're like, no, you're a 28-inch draw. My bow or the Bear bows, I can just adjust that right there for you, and you're good to go. You don't have to, no extra charge, no nothing, right? Versus if you bought the wrong mod, then it's a different story.
And this is what I find to be really cool, because it's really easy for someone to say we live our mission and follow our mission, our ethos, and it's actually kind of hard to do. And it's hard because like you don't realize you're doing it until you start to analyze and look backwards a little bit and go, oh, I guess we are living up to our mission. We are making bows accessible for everybody. And here's how and why. And when you start with the end in mind and you start with the beginning or whatever that stupid quote is, like if you're always pulling from that main thesis, you end up with where you guys are at, which is a pretty stark differentiator in the marketplace, but goes right back to what you said in the beginning of the interview here, like a bow in everyone's hands, like affordable bows that are for everybody. That's pretty wild. Like, I don't know the missions of the other companies, but hopefully they're sticking to their stuff, and they probably are. This is just wild to me that when you think about your mission, what you're able to accomplish and what you've accomplished. I don't think you would have gotten there without the mission. Like, I don't think that would have been a part of the thought process.
That's what I was kind of thinking about the whole time when he's talking about the adjustability. And I was just playing the devil's advocate of people saying, well, what would you need that for? Because I have one draw length. That's a draw length I'm going to draw. But you hit it on the head when you said, they're living their message, a bow in everybody's hands. That's almost like when you purchase a bow that's that adjustable, that bow is almost, the great value, the price point that they're at, but then it's available to not only you, like all these other bows that are 29.5, that's like, it's set up for you.
Yep.
you can't, it's hard to hand that down. It's hard to give that to your kid. It's hard to give it to your nephew, your niece who wants to get into it, because that bow was set up for you and that's what it is. But if you have a bow that's adjustable, and maybe that's your, you just got into archery and you get one that's adjustable because it's going to help you. But then all of a sudden that bow goes to somebody else and you readjust it and now they're into archery and then they pass it down or they pass it to the next kid in line. And that's not going to be for everybody, but that is living the mantra of what Ryan described, which is great.
Think if you're gonna sell a bow or something. Well, now a lot more people can buy it than only some people. I mean, even if you want to take it to that extreme, now that you want to be getting rid of one, but
it's cool.
It's pretty great to consider that you guys have you're living your mission, and that's not most companies or organizations. I think some might think they are, but not this clearly. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox.
I digress.
Yeah. So what's next on the lineup? Now that I've asked all these obtuse questions.
No, that's good. I think we should jump to, this is one of the most exciting bows I think we have to offer this year that'll get a lot of talking about, will be the Legit Max. So now we're kind of into my main line bows. And the reason this bow replaces our Legit bow, which we were just talking about how adjustable. So I kind of figured we'd just jump to this one because this is our very, very adjustable bow. This is the type of bow, the Legit Max is the type of bow that it could be one of those things that I think I said it last time on the Legit, is you could start with this bow when you're whatever 12 year. I've had my daughter shooting this bow when we first came out with it. And she was younger than 12, but let's just say you could shoot this bow from 12 to 47 if you wanted to, which is my age. I sure hope you're buying multiple Bear bows within that huge age gap, and taking care of it well. But I mean, the point of that is that I could set this bow up and she could shoot it, and I could turn around and set it up for me and I could shoot it. Not saying that's what ideally you should do, but that's kind of the big mission of this bow, is it's going to fit everybody. I saw one of the questions that came through, which I know as the host, you guys like to point that out, but he says, what would be a great first bow for a new hunter? I have a lot of follow-up questions I tend to like to ask when people ask me those type of questions, but the first one's kind of hard for me not to say Legit Max. So it's 315 feet per second. Axle to axle is 30 inches. The reason I like to bring up the axle so much is really I like to put bows in people's hands on how are you going to hunt. I talked about before, we are a hunting company. It is our one focus. It is what we do. We're not building target bows, we're building hunting bows. So if you tell me you want to be in a ground blind and be like 30 inches axle to axle is going to be hard to beat. You want to be in a tight tree stand, it's going to be hard to beat. You want to be something where you move like with the tree saddle, it's going to be hard to beat. So really pretty good. Now, depending on the size of the person, I may adjust what I say based on if you have a super long draw, you might want something that's a little bit longer axle to axle for stability reasons, but won't go in depth in that. But this is also 6 1/4 brace heights, huge adjustment, 10 to 70 pounds, 14 to 30 pounds, and 75% let off. And this is our dual cam. And this bow comes completely set up, ready to hunt. It's integrated, so integrated sight, integrated rest, and all of that for $449. This is
how do you guys do, how? And I don't mean it like obviously can't.
This should be a big one in the industry this year, to get all that type of technology where you then of course can put different sights and everything else on it like we talked about before. But
it's a good bow. It's a really
you can
good
barely
bow.
buy like a higher end sight for $400 nowadays. That's wild. You can get all.
And this is one of those fun ones. Oh, I want to say we have 12 color options. 1, 2, 3.
What? That is
12.
Especially if you're getting your
so I mean, you can get it in bottomlands. You could get it in mossy oak roots that they just launched. You can get it with blue accents, pink accents. It's fun. It's a fun bow.
That's cool. Yeah, we've given away 6 of those bows.
Legit?
Right? I think.
Legit?
For since our 30-year foam fest, so I think we've given away 6 of them. 6 legits, not the new one you're talking about, not the Legit Max, but 6 legits RTHs through our foam fest 3D archery shoot at the end of August. So
It does lend itself to those type of things because it's not like back to what we were just talking about, especially on the poundage. Like if you're trying to give away a persist and it's 55 to 70, not everybody can draw that kind of poundage, right? So versus this bow, I'm confident I can make this bow fit just about anybody.
Yeah.
Versus some
But
of those other bows, maybe not. Like if you were a short, a shorter draw, it might be tougher.
I think the gentleman that won this year, though, his draw length was like the RTH legit was too short for his draw length, if I'm not mistaken. So I think he figured something out, though. We had worked with customer service and at Bear and tried to see what we could come up with. But I
We
think
do have a couple bows that go out to 32 inches, so
He was a pretty tall
he's a big
fella.
man.
I'd imagine he was north of 31, I would guess, which is pretty huge draw length.
yeah, that's pretty rare. But
Yeah,
yeah, there are people out there with those long draws.
Yeah. So no, that's exciting. That's a good one, and that again, that's one that I think a lot of our listenership has been exposed to through Foam Fest, just in that alone. But a really great universal kind of bow, and still quality. Like you kill deer with it. You know what I mean? Like
Heck yeah.
I killed the $2 on the wall here with my Bear legit, or not legit. Jesus, I'm just saying legit now. My Bear Empire. So like that was a single cam old model that I'm sure you're familiar. I don't even know where that model ranked on the scale of Bear archery things, but I liked it, and it wasn't the fastest bow in the market by any stretch.
Confidence. You had confidence.
I had a lot
in
of
it.
confidence. You're right. That's what it was. Absolutely. I was not intimidated by that bow at all because it was so comfortable and easy to shoot. Just, it was good.
So the next bow that I was planning to talk about fits that to a T when it comes to very smooth draw would be the Species XT. So this bow is similar to the Adapt, which we did talk about on that last podcast quite a bit because we had launched it, but it's a 320 feet per second. It's a single cam bow, so very smooth, but 6 3/4 inch brace height, so very forgiving, long brace height, and then 30 inches axle to axle, so still very compact, adjustable from 23.5 to 30.5 inches. Now this bow, you have to pick your limb, so you either go 45 to 60 or 55 to 70, and then 80% let off. And it's available in quite a few colors, not 12 like the one before, but you've got 6 different options you can go in there in between solid and camo, and it's integrated as well. But this is a great option on if you're, a smooth draw cycle is really very, very important to you. That's why the single cam's out there. And in the last podcast, we talked quite a bit too, like the reason the hunting public they like that single cam on their Adapt 2 so much, just because it's so easy to draw and just very, very reliable. I mean, the Species XT is kind of the bow that we started with those guys with, so, or the Species, and then it's just evolved over the years into now the Species XT. So just overall great bow, really simple, really good bow to get into archery because not very very simple, very nice draw cycle. So you're not like, I feel like you could shoot this bow a lot and not fatigue. Of
Well,
course,
that's
that's
if
based on the poundage.
you're doing like leagues or something like that, 2 or 3 archery a lot. That's probably a good thing to consider if you're just putting reps on the thing a ton. I don't know what people shoot for that kind of stuff. I'm not a tournament 3D archery guy by any stretch.
Neither am I.
I know you can fatigue.
I've been fatigued.
It's like the barrel gets a little hot on your rifle, like needs to freaking break to cool down.
You gotta take care of that shoulder. You better nurse that puppy.
Yeah, I don't know.
She's doing good now, knock on wood.
It's been all right so far. It's my back that's giving me problems, but that's never ending. That's why I get out of bed so early. Half the time, it's like I don't want to deal with the pain in my back. I'm just gonna get up now. It's a difference.
Yikes.
Yeah. Anyway.
And then the last one I kind of plan to go over that we did just launch was the Cruiser G4. So this replaces our Cruiser G3. And this has always been the bow in our line that kind of is the great gateway in between like little kids, youth bows to this is a real bow. Again, the adjustment in it allows everybody to fit it, but the mass weight and just the overall feel and length of the bow definitely lends itself to young youth archers. A lot of people's first bows or bows that they've used on their first hunting trip kind of meets the specs of this bow. So it's 315 feet per second. It's 6 1/4 brace heights. It's shorter at 29-inch axle to axle, but still a huge adjustment. 14 to 30 in draw length, and then 10 to 70 pounds and 75% let off. So it's got a new dual cam that we just tweaked and perfected this year. So very smooth, easy to draw. Now this is the only new bow I've went over this year that doesn't have integrate in it. So it still comes in an RTH package. So with your sight, rest, quiver, stabilizer, all right off the bat, but just not integrate like the legit on up in our line.
Sure.
What is the MSRP on that one that's with the ready to hunt package?
On the Cruiser G4, it would be $449.
So it's 100 less or 50 less than the legit? What was it, 550 or 500 you said?
Very close.
Yeah, very close. And then it also comes in 6 different colors, and it has some of the fun colors in there too.
Fred
like
Bear.
Mighty Girl and Fred Bear and Mossy Oak Roots.
One thing I've noticed, I think you kind of touched on this, these the pendulum swinging and these trends, so to speak, of like short and now longer. And I've noticed, I feel like when I was coming into archery and my dad gave me my old, the Dart and Viper dual cam, it had this old style look to it. Like the risers were different. And at that time, this is probably like, I don't know, somewhere between 2010 and 2010 and maybe it was like 2008, 2010, 2012, somewhere in there. A lot of the newer bows then had like the risers, or the limbs, I should say, were like flat almost.
The parallel limbs?
Yeah. And I was like, man, that looks so cool. One of those new cool bows. I didn't even know what the hell the difference was. I just knew that was what was hot. And I was like, that's what I want, because I want it. You know, as a young man, I was really easily influenced by marketing and all that stuff, and influencers and so forth. And that whole stuff has changed now. But I feel like the bows now, like you said, the look is starting to look more like that old Dart and Viper I had, where they're not that parallel limbs. So are the parallel limbs, is that still a good option for people? I know you guys, I don't see a lot of that here. Or what's the reasoning for going back to where we're at now? Or is it a little bit, not maybe going back, but arriving at a new place altogether? I don't know if I'm making any effort.
I think it's a little bit of I get what you mean. It's a mix. So you're going to see, we have some bows that have more parallel limb design, and then we have some that don't. So like, kind of the Cruiser G4 that we just went over, obviously it doesn't. Its limbs are, we stand those limbs out a little bit more. And there's some reasoning in between that. But like the Persist that we started this episode off with, they're definitely more parallel. The Persist just the 31-inch Persist is extremely parallel. The 33, we stood those limbs up a little bit more to get more stability in that longer axle to axle. So there's some things that you can do there. So there's really not, I would argue, not really a bad way. Kind of what we were talking about before. Everything kind of comes full circle in archery. If you just wait long enough, it'll probably come back.
Like bell bottoms and baggy pants.
Yep. So I would say we have a mix throughout our line, and it really depends on the model and then what we were kind of going for on it.
That's good to hear. These are just curious questions and observations, and you're doing a great job navigating it. And you got to be. How many times have you been able to talk about this stuff so far in the last couple of days?
Quite a bit lately. So, and as we talked about before, it's always nice. I've been lucky to be on quite a few of these podcasts. These are my babies, so I want to talk about them. It's one of those things. Like I always tell people, I was like, just think if you had a baby 9 months ago and you couldn't talk about it until one specific day.
Yeah, that's almost akin to like you can't tell people the gender of the name if you're keeping that a secret, and now it's like you finally can spill the beans. Like
that's what this feels like for me. Yep.
I get it. And also, no one wants to listen to you talk about your baby.
No.
Unless they also have just gone through it, so you can't, there's not a lot of people that are willing to, in my walk of life, like there's only so many people that, so I was at, like we talked about, I was at Disney World, and just as hard as I look for deer in a field as I'm driving by, I was seeking out people with camouflage hats. I managed to see one dude in a Sika hat just suffering hard. This kid's like, I hate this place. And I was like, we should be in the deer woods right now, right, buddy? He's like, oh yeah, man, this is oh. So my one moment with another hunter, like I just wish I could have found a few more of them, like I just talked about and shared trail cams pics with or something. Like I was just dying. That's how bad it was for me to like be missing deer hunting.
You were Jones and you
the
needed
weather
a
was
fix.
hot. I'm like, there's nothing about this. This is what it's supposed to be at this time of year. But okay, so here's the question. I don't know if anyone's ever asked you this, but I think between us here, Ryan, let's be honest. Which one of the bows in Bear's lineup did you make for yourself, being a product manager?
That's a good question. That's a real good question.
Which one did you really be like, I'm going to make one for myself? If you were a cobbler, you probably might make your own pair of shoes. I'm just saying.
I think it's tough. I want to say it's tough because there's like certain parts or pieces to each one that you're like, oh my God, I love that. But then it's like, oh, but I kind of wish it was on this bow instead of that bow type thing. So, which is fun because that always pushes us to keep doing more and more bows. So it's hard, like I just said, they're my kind of like my children, so it's hard.
Yeah, I hear you there, but
and then there's also sometimes where like, of course I've been in archery a long time, so it's you kind of gravitate to the flagship knowing that, the Persist 33. Now, I've never been a super long axle guy because as I said before, can't exactly tell on camera, but I'm not super tall. I tell everybody I'm 6'2", but I'm real life like 5'4". So I don't need a long axle to axle. So I like that 30-31 type deal. So I really like the Whitetail INT this year. I think there's a lot of good bows in our line, but I really like the adjustability of the EKO cam. And I think I talked a little bit about this on the last episode. I'm a big pull-through shooter, so there's times where I will shoot a T-handle rest, and there's other times where I'll shoot just a wrist style. So I like to be able to adjust that let off at times when I adjust what I'm going to be using, and that bow it fits me really well. I am a short draw, so I've got to go all the way down to the 26, but I do like the Whitetail INT, maybe my favorite right now. I did shoot the Legend XR a lot last year, and I know that was the bow you were shooting, but so Legend 30 might get some reps put through it too.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it's almost like if I could do some genetic like selection before having a baby.
Don't go down that hole.
But then I have that baby and like, ooh, I got that one wrong, but I got these things right. Let's do it again. Like, so I could see how maybe, but I wasn't sure if one's like,
yeah, well, you also commented on my background. I'm lucky enough I don't want to have to stay with one.
Yeah, you don't have to discriminate.
I can shop around a little bit.
Yeah.
Cool. Always nice. Always.
Speaking of Bear, I do like that you have our signs are similar, but yours says is it just Bear Archery? What does it say on yours? The Bear logo, the old school one.
It's the old school, and it even calls out the old school Grayling, Michigan.
Oh, that's cool.
Is that a wood slab?
It is.
Very nice.
So we had a wood slab. You wouldn't be able to see it.
Like, yeah, it would do a little camouflage.
Yeah, I know we were getting our agreement crafted up or whatever. Like, oh, we could send you a sign or something like that. I was like, yeah, that'd be great. How about the old school one? Yeah, that would be perfect. And so it came in. It was a pretty proud moment for us to be able to hang this up in the studio. We're pretty proud of it, and it's a great addition. And I'm really excited that we've been able to partner with you guys and have moments like this where we get to be part of a bow drop. It's pretty great.
Yeah, it's fun. It's like Christmas and hunting season all at one. It's hard to beat it.
Yeah, I mean, hunting season over Christmas usually. Usually on Christmas, I'm up till like 4 a.m. putting together presents.
Oh, that's always a fun.
In the garage when it's freezing cold out there because the kids can't see it until the next.
That's morning. What Ryan was doing in our last podcast. Don't let the kids see these yet. We got get them in the closet. Get them in the closet. Just throw it on there. Throw the jacket on it.
It's crazy what people will pick out. I haven't. Not lately, but I've been in other things where it's like, what is that right next to that guy?
Like, dude, the internet is a wild place.
Oh my God,
it is.
You'll do something about A, and they'll call out, number 4. I'm like, what? How is that what you picked up in this?
If you get on any of those like backcountry hunting groups that like are like mega gear phobics, like that's what they love.
Yeah.
They're like taking ads and like zooming in 10x on a table in the back room in a photo. Like what model
like
is that?
What's that? There's a documentary like around the 2020s. Don't fuck with cats. It was on Netflix, and basically some dude murdered a cat on like a YouTube video. And then the internet went freaking nutso and like found the guy. It was crowdsourced crime like investigation.
Got him. Citizen arrest.
And they actually predicted he was going to kill a human, and he was going to, and the internet trolls found him before the police did, and helped the police aid an arrest to prevent a murder. So like they were picking apart, like, well, that outlet's from this part of the country, that was purchased on this website, which is this store, which is in this. I was like, holy shit. So yeah, to your point, trolls will pick that stuff out and be like, no, that wood in your background was bought from Home Depot, not Menards. And there's only so many of those, and Menards is local to Wisconsin, Midwest. They're not Home Depot's everywhere. So like it's wild, man. Yeah, all right, good stuff.
So don't fuck with cats.
That was it. That was the name of the documentary. You know, it's bleeped out and it's a bunch of asterisks, but that, like, go check it out. It's pretty weird. It is pretty weird. I don't watch documentaries anymore. I can't handle it. Too many creepy, weird people out there they're putting attention on, and I just it grosses me out. Now, if they did one about how to make bows, that'd be different. Man, so I don't know how far is the headquarters from Orlando? I should have stopped by, maybe taken a bus.
We're in Gainesville, which is pretty far north of it, so it's got to be like 3-4 hours plus. I mean, it's got to be a ways.
Stuff,
especially with children.
Yeah.
What was it? Helene? Is that how you say it? Helene? The hurricane. HELEN. It caused some damage. It's not great. It's been pretty bad. I had an uncle actually that was like, we hadn't heard from him. He was in North Carolina, and he, like, there's no in or out of the town, and then some trees had fell, and he's got a long driveway, so no one could get in or out, and there's no power, no cell phone signal, nothing. And so it took, I think, 3.5 days to figure out if he had made it through.
Jeez,
we just got word. There's a lot of Facebook crowdsourcing happening to see if he's okay, and it turned out he was, luckily. Yeah, pretty wild. So if there's people that are not doing great with all that stuff.
Well, Tennessee and North Carolina is just underwater. It's terrible.
So here we are talking about deer hunting. Some people have lost a lot. And I know Boyer, Matt Morris, had gone to do some humanitarian work to help out.
What a guy.
Yeah, good dude. So good people on our podcast network, by the way. That'd be a good one for you guys to be on to talk about trad bows, the Boyer podcast, because he makes bows from scratch, and he knows a lot about the type of tree and the wood and what you get out of it. And he's making a lot of bows. He's a pretty smart and interesting fella, very humble fella. So that might be one we can do an intro for you guys on the trad side of things. I don't know what you talk about that or not, but it could be fun.
Yeah, trad stuff's big and it's super detailed, just like you said. Which wood, where did it come from, what time frame did it come from? They get into it. Oh, it's pretty fun stuff.
Matt's really big into building the self bows, the one-piece wood bows is what he was explaining to us. But he has a vast knowledge of everything traditional archery. So the laminate bows, everything you guys do at Bear, he'd probably love to chat that up. So
one of the comments that I don't know his first name, but the duo, he was one of the 12-year-olds that came to Foam Fest, and he just commented, you see on the screen in a second, there's a little bit of lag, but he said, thanks so much for the 3D archery event and the opportunity for him to go.
Cool.
Which is cool that he's here listening, and obviously I would imagine he's a Bear bow fan.
Terribly sorry that we just used the F word, so please earmuff that.
His dad talked
young
to me
man.
about that. He's like, it's okay, it's okay. But it was a direct quote of the name of the show. It's just, I could have bleeped it. I have a bleeper somewhere in here. I don't know which one the bleep is.
Obviously, we don't use that one enough.
Because I don't even know which one it is. Yeah, I'll probably get it wrong, so I'm not going to bother, but it's there. Anywho, well, Ryan, thanks for being on the show. Any final thoughts or anything else you want to leave the audience with before we kind of wrap it up?
Not too much. It's pretty fun year. I mean, there's so many new bows out there, so our Bear bow line is as big as it's ever been. And I'd just say, like we talked about earlier, go try them out. Shoot a whole bunch of them, whichever brand style that piques your interest, and we hope that you give Bear a chance and see what fits you guys best. We want everybody to be successful, so look at Bear next time you're out looking for a new bow.
That's fantastic.
Excellent.
Yeah, thanks everybody, and say everyone. Nathan Hyde just said Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday indeed.
Happy opening day to all the states that open October 1.
Yeah,
today was a huge opening day across a lot of the country. Good luck to everybody if you made it out to the woods. Hopefully you have a safe hunt and enjoy your season.
Cheers, everybody. Thanks for being here tonight. Well, with that, we'll be back next week. I think the next couple weeks we have some guests lined up. And then we kind of get into a deadland zone, which
you're going to be in deadland zone when Greg and I are gone.
That's true.
It'll work out perfectly bad for you.
I'll have to plan for that accordingly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we have a guest on when you guys are gone? Did I say?
You said you have one next week, which is the last week I'll be here for 2 weeks.
It'll be the 8th and the So I don't have the next one after that is the 5th of November. So is that from a movie? Remember the 5th of November, or is it the 4th?
I don't know.
Oh, that's right around election day, so that'll be interesting anyways. Cool. So if we need a guest, anybody listening, knock on our Instagram door. Let us know.
Slide to Eric's DMs.
We could do, I mean, we have the call line too. We could be happy to do a listener call-in episode as long as there's enough planning and prep that people actually call in. So I'm not sitting here twiddling my thumbs. That could be fun. But everyone, thanks for listening. Good to be back. I don't know what day it is. Basically, I'm totally upside down and kittywampus. So I'm drinking coffee at 7 p.m. and I'm pretty sure I'm not going to sleep tonight.
It's a full mug.
So yeah, lots of work to catch up on. We'll talk to everybody next week.